Ambassador Elena Vasquez walked through the massive halls of the Galaxy Council building on Nexus Prime. Her black diplomatic uniform bore the Earth Federation symbol, but today would be the last time she wore it here. The marble floors echoed with her footsteps as alien beings from across the galaxy watched her pass. The high assembly chamber was enormous. Thousands of seats rose in curved rows filled with delegates from over 200 species. The air buzzed with translation devices working overtime as dozens of languages mixed together. At the center sat the circle of elders, the 12 oldest species who controlled the Galaxy Council. Elena had given this same speech in her mind 100 times. Today she would deliver it for real. Honored delegates, Elena began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. The translation systems made sure every being present could understand her words. I stand before you as the representative of humanity for the final time. A ripple of confusion swept through the assembly. The Altarian delegate leaned forward, his blue skin shifting to a darker shade that showed concern. The insect-like Zephyrians clicked their mandibles nervously. Elder Korthak of the Viridian Empire spoke first. His ancient voice carried the weight of 5,000 years. Ambassador Vasquez, what do you mean by final time? Has Earth decided to replace you? Elena smiled, but there was no warmth in it. No, Elder Korthak. Earth has decided to replace all of you. The chamber erupted in shocked chatter. Elena waited for the noise to die down before continuing. For 300 years, humanity has served this council faithfully. We have followed your laws, paid our dues, and contributed to galactic civilization. We have shared our technology, our medical knowledge, and our scientific discoveries freely with all member species. She paused, looking directly at each elder in turn. And for 300 years, you have treated us like children who stumbled into the galaxy by accident. You call us a young species as if our age determines our worth. You question our every proposal and delay our every request. When we discovered new worlds, you told us we were expanding too fast. When we built new ships, you said we were too aggressive. When we tried to help younger species, you told us to stay in our place. Elder Yathara of the Crystal Collective spoke up, her crystalline body ringing like bells. Humanity, your species, is indeed young. You have been spacefaring for only a few centuries. We have maintained galactic peace for millennia, have you? Elena asked. Then explain the Keth situation. Silence fell over the chamber. Everyone knew about the vote that had happened just 3 days ago. The hegemony of Keth, an aggressive warrior species, had been granted expansion rights into 3 star systems that human explorers had discovered and mapped. Meanwhile, humanity's request to establish colonies in the same region had been denied for being too hasty. The Keth have proven themselves capable of managing new territories, Elder Korthak said carefully. The Keth have proven themselves capable of killing anyone who disagrees with them, Elena replied. Their idea of management is conquest. Their idea of diplomacy is surrender or death. Yet you give them worlds that human blood and sweat discovered, while telling us we need more time to mature. She pulled out a small device and placed it on the speaking podium. This contains every treaty humanity has signed with the Galaxy Council. Every trade agreement, every mutual defense pact, every scientific cooperation accord. As of this moment, all of them are null and void. The device projected a holographic display showing hundreds of documents. One by one, they turned red and displayed terminated across their text. Humanity hereby withdraws from the Galaxy Council completely. We will no longer participate in your debates, follow your laws, or contribute to your projects. We will not trade with council members, share our technology, or provide aid in any form. Elder Zephus of the Ancient Builders, whose species was older than recorded history, stood slowly. Young humans, you cannot survive alone in the galaxy. The universe is dangerous. There are threats that require unified response. Then perhaps you should have thought of that before insulting us one final time, Elena said. But do not worry. Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and the journey to the stars. We will survive whatever comes next. She picked up the device and the holographic documents vanished. From this day forward, any attempt to contact Earth, any human colony, or any human ship will be ignored. We will not respond to your messages, answer your calls, or acknowledge your existence. As far as humanity is concerned, the Galaxy Council no longer exists. The chamber was completely silent now. Even the translation devices seemed to have stopped humming. Elena turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and one more thing. All human personnel currently working on council projects, research stations, and military bases have been ordered to return home immediately. All human-built equipment and technology transfers are hereby suspended. All medical aid currently being provided by human doctors will end within 48 hours. All security services provided by human forces will cease at midnight tonight. The implications hit the delegates like a physical blow. Thousands of joint projects relied on human expertise. Human engineers kept many space stations running. Human doctors served in hospitals across the galaxy. Human security forces protected dozens of worlds. "You cannot do this," Elder Korthak sputtered. "The economic disruption alone will cause chaos. The research projects will fail. The medical treatments will stop. People will die." Elena turned back one final time. "You are absolutely right. And every death, every failure, every moment of chaos will be the direct result of your decision to treat humanity as inferior, while depending on us for everything important." She walked toward the exit, her footsteps the only sound in the massive chamber. "This is madness," Elder Yathara called after her. "You will regret this decision. Humanity needs the galaxy more than the galaxy needs humanity." Elena stopped at the doorway without turning around. "In 6 months, when your ships are breaking down because you do not have human mechanics, when your research projects collapse because you do not have human scientists, when pirates raid your trade routes because you do not have human patrol fleets, and when your people are dying from diseases that human doctors could cure, ask yourselves this question: who really needs whom?" She walked out of the chamber, leaving behind the Galaxy Council seal on the podium. The small Earth Federation emblem seemed to glitter under the chamber lights, a reminder of what they had just lost. Within hours, the news spread across the galaxy through quantum communication networks. Humanity had done the unthinkable. For the first time in galactic history, an entire species had voluntarily cut all ties with the Council. On Earth, Elena's speech was broadcast live to every human world. In the streets of New Tokyo, crowds cheered. On Mars, colonists raised glasses in celebration. On the frontier world, settlers looked up at the stars with new pride. Humanity was alone again, just as they had been for most of their history. But this time they were not isolated by ignorance or technology. They were alone by choice, and they were not afraid. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you took humanity for granted. 6 months had passed since Elena Vasquez walked out of the Galaxy Council chambers. The galaxy was learning what silence really meant. Captain Thale Norvek of the Altarian Merchant Guild stood on the bridge of his cargo ship, staring at the dead space station ahead. Orbital Station Gamma 7 had been humanity's largest trading post in the Centauri sector. Now it hung dark and empty against the stars. "Sir, I am picking up automated signals," his navigation officer reported. "It says station abandoned. All human personnel have been recalled. Do not attempt to dock." Thale's blue skin had turned almost gray with worry. His cargo hold was full of rare minerals that only humans knew how to process properly. Without their factories and refineries, the minerals were just expensive rocks. "Try sending another message," he ordered. "Tell them we will pay double the usual rates." The communications officer, a young Altarian female, shook her head. "Sir, I have been trying for 3 months. Every human station, every human colony, every human ship gives the same response. They will not talk to any council species." Thale slumped in his captain's chair. His family had traded with humans for 50 years. They had been fair partners, always honest in their deals, always helpful when problems arose. Now they acted like his species did not exist. "Set course for the next system," he said quietly. "Maybe the Viridians will buy our cargo at half price." 3 sectors away, Dr. Lorana Kess was facing her own crisis. The Zephyrian Research Station on Kepler 442 had been working on a cure for the Crimson Plague, a disease that was killing millions across the Outer Rim. The breakthrough had been so close. She looked at the empty laboratory where Dr. Sarah Chen had worked just 6 months ago. Sarah had been the best xenobiologist in the galaxy, able to understand alien diseases better than most aliens understood them themselves. Her research notes were still there, but they were written in a code that only she knew. "Any progress on decoding Dr. Chen's work?" Lorana asked her assistant. The younger Zephyrian scientist clicked his mandibles sadly. "No, Doctor. Her encryption methods are too advanced. We have tried everything, but humans always made the best computer security systems." Lorana walked to the window and looked out at the plague ships waiting in orbit. Each ship carried thousands of sick people from dozens of worlds. Before the humans left, they could have cured the plague in a few weeks. Now, months later, the Zephyrian team was still trying to understand the basics of Sarah's research. "Keep trying," she said. "People are dying while we struggle with problems that Dr. Chen could solve in an afternoon." In the military sector of Nexus Prime, Admiral Kortak Vel faced the biggest crisis of all. The Galactic Defense Fleet had been designed with human tactical experts in every major command position. Humans had a strange way of thinking about war that confused enemies and won battles. "Admiral, the pirate raids in Sector 15 have increased by 300%, his aide reported. "Without the human patrol fleets, the trade routes are almost defenseless." Admiral Vel studied the tactical display. Red markers showed pirate attacks across a dozen star systems. Before, human captains would have predicted where the pirates would strike next and been waiting for them. Human tactics were unpredictable and creative in ways that alien commanders struggled to copy. "What about our own patrols?" he asked. "Sir, our ships are designed to work with human vessels. We always fought as mixed fleets. Our tactical computers were programmed by human strategists. Without them, we are missing half of our capabilities." The Admiral rubbed his forehead with one clawed hand. "And the defense of the Council worlds themselves?" His aide looked uncomfortable. "Sir, the defense plans for all major Council worlds were written by human military advisors. We have the plans, but not the understanding of how to carry them out properly." Meanwhile, on a small trading station near the galactic edge, a group of alien merchants were learning about human absence in a different way. "The gravity generator is failing again," announced Merchant Plex, a round creature from the bubble worlds. "Who knows how to fix it?" The other merchants looked around at each other. Engineer Korax, a reptilian saurid, spoke up. "The humans always fixed it before. They said something about resonance frequencies and harmonic balancing, but I never understood what they meant. Can we not just replace it?" asked a thin, elegant being from the Crystal Collective. "With what?" Korax replied. "Humans made the best gravity generators in the galaxy. Everyone else just bought theirs. No one else knows how to build them from scratch." The station shuddered as the gravity fluctuated. Several small objects floated up from tables before crashing down again. "How long before it fails completely?" Plex asked nervously. "Maybe 2 weeks," Korax estimated. "Maybe less. Then what?" "Then we all learn to live in zero gravity until someone figures out how to fix it. Or we abandon the station." On Nexus Prime, emergency council sessions were happening every day. The Galaxy Council chambers that had once been full of confident debate now echoed with worried discussions and desperate planning. Elder Korthak stood before the assembly, looking older than his 5,000 years. "The situation continues to worsen. 17 systems have reported critical infrastructure failures. Medical emergencies are increasing. Trade has dropped by 60% in human-dependent sectors. What about our attempts to contact them?" asked Elder Yathara, her crystal body flickering with stress patterns. "Complete silence," Korthak replied. "Our ambassadors cannot even reach human space. Their border patrols turn away all council ships without communication. It is as if we no longer exist to them." A new voice spoke up from the junior delegates section. Counselor Drix of the Harmony Collective, a species that had joined the council only 50 years ago, raised his hand. "Honored elders, my people have a saying, do not cut down the tree that gives you shade. Perhaps we should consider that we made an error." The chamber fell silent. No one had dared to suggest that the council had been wrong. Elder Korthak's voice was cold. "The council does not make errors, counselor. We make decisions based on thousands of years of experience. But," Drix continued carefully, "if our experience was wrong about humanity's value, then perhaps our decision was also wrong." "Humanity is a young species," Elder Yethera insisted. "They needed guidance, not equal treatment, did they?" Drix asked. "Because from where I sit, it looks like we needed them far more than they needed us." The truth of his words hung in the air like a poisonous gas. Everyone in the chamber knew it, but no one wanted to admit it. As the meeting dragged on with no solutions, a message arrived that made everything worse. The hegemony of Keth, the aggressive species that had been given the star systems humanity wanted, had just declared war on 3 neighboring civilizations. Without human peacekeepers to stop them, without human tactical advisors to counter their strategies, and without human diplomatic experts to negotiate ceasefires, the Keth were free to do what they did best, conquer and destroy. The galaxy was falling apart, and humanity was not coming to fix it this time. Deep in space, human ships passed through Council territory like ghosts. When alien vessels tried to contact them, they simply continued on their courses as if the other ships were not there. No threats, no communication, no acknowledgement. Just silence. The silence was becoming more frightening than any war, because silence meant that humanity truly no longer cared what happened to the rest of the galaxy. And that, more than anything else, showed the Council exactly how badly they had miscalculated. The Galaxy Council was getting desperate. 9 months had passed since humanity went silent, and the problems were getting worse every day. Ships were breaking down. Medical treatments were failing. Entire star systems were becoming dangerous without human protection. Elder Korthak made a decision that would have been unthinkable a year ago. He authorized covert spy missions into human space. Agent Veltar of the Viridian Intelligence Service was chosen for the most dangerous mission. Her species could change their appearance to look like other races, making her perfect for spying. She had studied human culture for months, learning to mimic their behavior and speech patterns. Getting into human space was the first challenge. Human border patrols now turned away all Council ships, but they could not stop a single spy in a stolen human transport vessel. Veltar had acquired the ship from a human criminal on a neutral world, paying more credits than most people saw in a lifetime. Her destination was the Tau Ceti system, a major human industrial center. As her ship approached the system, she saw something that made her blood run cold. The system was not the same as it had been in the intelligence reports. Where there had been 12 space stations before, now there were over 100. Massive orbital shipyards surrounded every planet like metal rings. Construction vessels the size of cities were building structures that dwarfed anything in Council space. By the ancient stars, she whispered to herself. What have they been doing? She managed to dock at a civilian station and began gathering information. What she learned terrified her more than any weapon. The humans had not been sitting idle during their centuries in the Galaxy Council. While they shared their technology freely with other species, they had been developing advanced versions for themselves. The computers they sold to aliens were impressive, but the ones they kept were decades ahead. The medical equipment they exported was good, but their private hospitals used technology that seemed like magic. At a bar on the station, she overheard human workers talking about their latest projects. The new battleship designs are incredible, one engineer said to his friend. Armor plating that can absorb energy weapon hits and turn them into power for our own systems. Shields that actually get stronger when they are attacked. What about the new drive systems? His friend asked. Faster than anything the Council has ever seen. We can cross the galaxy in weeks instead of months. Veltar tried to stay calm, but her species' skin color was shifting with fear. Humans noticed everything, and one of them was already looking at her curiously. She left the bar quickly and made her way back to her ship. But before she could leave the system, she saw something that made her forget all about staying hidden. A massive fleet was gathering near the system's edge. Not dozens of ships, but thousands. Each vessel was larger and more advanced than anything in the Council fleet. Their hulls were covered in armor that seemed to absorb light itself. Energy readings showed power levels that should have been impossible. Veltar managed to take long-range scans before jumping out of the system. When she reached neutral space, she immediately sent her report to Nexus Prime. The Galaxy Council received her intelligence report with horror and disbelief. According to her scans, humanity had been building military technology far beyond anything the Council possessed. Worse, they had been doing it for decades, maybe centuries. This cannot be accurate, Elder Yathara declared, her crystal body flickering with stress. How could they hide such advanced technology from us? Perhaps they were not hiding it, suggested Counselor Drix quietly. Perhaps we never bothered to look because we assumed they were inferior. While the Council struggled with this new information, the galaxy's problems were getting worse. The hegemony of Keth had conquered 6 star systems and was preparing to attack more. Other aggressive species were following their example, seeing that the Council could not stop them without human help. The Skarn Empire, ancient enemies of the Altarians, declared war and invaded 2 border systems. The Altarian fleet tried to defend themselves, but their tactics were outdated. Human advisors had always helped them plan their defenses. Now they were fighting alone and they were losing. On Altair Prime, President Thek Aldara watched the tactical displays with growing fear. How long before the Skarn reach our home system? He asked his military commander. At their current pace, maybe 6 weeks, General Vox replied. Our fleets are retreating from every engagement. Without human tactical support, we cannot match their strategies. What about our defense networks? Sir, they were designed by human engineers. We know how to operate them, but not how to modify them for new threats. The Skarn have found ways to bypass our shields that we do not understand. President Aldara closed his eyes. Send another message to Earth. Offer them anything they want. Our entire treasury, exclusive trade deals, anything. Sir, we have sent 57 messages to Earth in the past month. They do not even acknowledge receiving them. Meanwhile, on a research station in the Zephyr Nebula, Dr. Lorana Kess was watching her patients die. The Crimson Plague had mutated into a new form that their partial cure could not stop. Millions of people across dozens of worlds were dying, and the death rate was increasing every day. Dr. Kess, her assistant, reported, We have received another message from the Viridian Medical Council. They are offering to share their research if we give them access to Dr. Chen's notes. Lorana looked at the sealed laboratory where the human doctor had worked. We still cannot decode her files. Her encryption is too advanced and her research methods are too complex for us to understand. What if we offered the files to the humans? Perhaps they would help us if we gave them something valuable in return. We tried that 3 months ago. We offered them Dr. Chen's complete research plus our own data. They never responded. The assistant's mandibles clicked sadly. So we just watch people die from a disease that humans could cure easily? Unless someone else figures out the cure, yes. That is exactly what we do. On Nexus Prime, Elder Korthak was dealing with the worst crisis in Council history. Not only were wars breaking out across the galaxy, but the Council's own authority was collapsing. Member species were starting to question whether the Council could protect them anymore. The Harmony Collective is threatening to withdraw from the Council, his aide reported. They say we failed to protect them from pirate raids in their home system. What about the Crystal Assembly? They are demanding emergency aid for their mining colonies. Apparently the automated systems are failing, and they do not have the technical knowledge to fix them. Korthak rubbed his temples. Everything that is breaking down was maintained by humans. Everything that is failing was designed by humans. Every system that is not working was improved by human technology. Sir, there is something else. Intelligence reports suggest that other species are starting to blame us for the current crisis. They are saying that we drove away the humans for selfish reasons. That was the worst news yet. If member species started believing that the Council had caused the current problems, the entire galactic government could collapse. Send another diplomatic mission to Earth, Korthak ordered. This time make it clear that we are willing to discuss changes to humanity's status in the Council. Sir, we have sent 14 diplomatic missions to human space. None of them were allowed past the border. The humans will not even talk to our ambassadors. Korthak stared out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, humanity was building fleets and developing technology while the galaxy fell apart around them. They had the power to solve every current crisis, but they simply did not care anymore. For the first time in his 5,000-year life, Elder Korthak wondered if the Galaxy Council had made a mistake so large that it could not be fixed. The humans were not just angry. They were done. And a species that was done with you was far more dangerous than a species that was simply mad at you, because angry people could be negotiated with, reasoned with, and eventually forgiven. But people who no longer cared about you at all, they were impossible to reach, and they were free to do whatever they wanted while you could only watch and wonder what they were planning. The emergency klaxons were screaming across Nexus Prime when Admiral Kortak Vel burst into the council chambers. His uniform was disheveled, his face pale with terror, and his hands were shaking. "Honored elders," he gasped, trying to catch his breath. "We have a situation. The Devourer swarm has returned." The chamber fell silent except for the wail of sirens outside. Every being present knew that name. The Devourer swarm was the nightmare that haunted galactic civilization. Ancient machines from beyond the galaxy's edge that consumed everything in their path, turning planets into raw materials for more of themselves. Elder Korthak's voice was barely a whisper. "How many ships?" Our long-range sensors detected over 10,000 vessels crossing the galactic rim. They are heading for the outer colonies at maximum speed. Elder Yethera's crystal body dimmed with fear. When will they reach inhabited systems? Based on their current speed, Approximately 6 weeks. The last time the Devourer swarm had attacked 300 years ago, it had taken the combined fleets of the entire galaxy to stop them. And even then, victory had only come because of brilliant human tactical innovations that confused and divided the enemy fleet. "What is the status of our defense fleets?" Elder Korthak asked. Admiral Vell looked like he was about to be sick. "Sir, our fleets are scattered across the galaxy dealing with local conflicts. The Keth War, the Skarn invasion, the pirate raids, the colonial rebellions. We would need months to gather them into a unified force. And our strategic planning? Sir, all of our anti-Devourer tactics were developed by human strategists. We have the basic plans, but none of our commanders understand the advanced strategies that actually won the last war. The implications hit everyone at once. Without human tactical genius, without human innovation, without human leadership, the galaxy had no real defense against the swarm." Counselor Drix spoke up from the junior delegates section. "Honored elders, perhaps this is the time to reconsider our relationship with humanity." Elder Korthak's voice was sharp. "The council does not beg. But the council might die," Drix replied simply. The debate that followed was fierce and desperate. Some elders insisted that they could handle the crisis without human help. Others argued that pride was worthless if everyone was dead. But as reports continued to arrive from the Outer Rim, showing entire star systems going dark as the Devourer swarm advanced, the reality became clear: they needed humanity. Desperately. 3 days later, a massive diplomatic fleet left Nexus Prime for Earth. 12 ships carried representatives from every major council species. Elder Korthak himself led the mission, something that had never happened in council history. The journey to Earth took 2 weeks. When they arrived in the Sol system, they found something that shook them to their core. Earth's solar system had been transformed into a fortress. Massive orbital defense platforms surrounded every planet. Space stations the size of moons floated in formation between the worlds. Energy shields shimmered around important installations, powered by technology that made council defenses look primitive. But most terrifying of all were the ships. Thousands of human vessels patrolled the system in perfect formation. Each ship was larger and more advanced than anything in the council fleet. Their hulls were covered in armor that seemed to absorb energy attacks. Weapon systems bristled from every surface. "By the ancient stars," whispered Elder Yethera. "What have they built?" The diplomatic fleet requested permission to approach Earth. The response came immediately from an automated system. "Council vessels are not permitted in this system. Depart immediately or defensive measures will be activated." "This is Elder Korthak of the Galaxy Council," he transmitted personally. "We request an emergency audience with human leadership regarding the Devourer threat." The response took longer this time, but it was still automated. "Your request is being reviewed. Maintain current position and wait." So they waited. The most powerful beings in the galaxy sat in their ships at the edge of human space, like beggars asking for scraps. Hours passed, then a full day, then 2 days. On the 3rd day, a single human ship approached their fleet. It was sleek and beautiful, but the energy readings it gave off were terrifying. It could have destroyed their entire diplomatic fleet single-handedly. A communication channel opened, and a familiar voice filled their ships. "Hello, elders. This is Elena Vasquez, High Chancellor of the Terran Federation. I understand you wanted to speak with someone." Elena's image appeared on their screens. She looked older than when she had walked out of the council chambers 18 months ago, but her eyes were harder, more confident. She wore a simple black uniform with no decorations except a small Earth symbol. Elder Korthak tried to maintain his dignity. "High Chancellor Vasquez, the galaxy faces an existential threat. The Devourer swarm has returned with a force larger than ever before. We need humanity's help to coordinate the defense." Elena's expression did not change. "I see. And what makes you think humanity has any interest in helping the Galaxy Council?" "Because if the Devourers win, they will eventually come for human space too." "Eventually, yes. But humanity has had 18 months to prepare for that possibility. We are ready. The question is whether the rest of the galaxy deserves our protection." Elder Yethara's crystal body flickered with desperate energy. "High Chancellor, billions of innocent lives are at stake. Surely humanity will not stand by and watch them die." Elena's smile was cold. The Galaxy Council watched humanity be insulted and dismissed for 3 centuries. You gave our discoveries to our enemies while telling us we were too immature to be trusted. When we tried to help younger species, you blocked us. When we wanted to expand, you delayed us. When we shared our technology, you took credit for our innovations. We made mistakes, Elder Korthak admitted, the words tasting like poison in his mouth. Mistakes? Elena laughed, but there was no humor in it. You made a conscious choice to treat humanity as inferior, while depending on us for everything important. That was not a mistake. That was policy. What do you want? Korthak asked bluntly. Elena's expression became serious. Complete restructuring of the Galaxy Council. Humanity gets veto power over any decision affecting young species. All current trade restrictions on human expansion are removed. All human technology patents and discoveries are returned to human control. And formal recognition that species age does not determine species capability. The elders looked at each other in shock. Elena was demanding that humanity be given power equal to the ancient species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. That is impossible, Elder Yethera protested. The council structure has existed for thousands of years. Then the council structure will die with the rest of galactic civilization, Elena replied calmly. Because without these changes, humanity will not lift a finger to help you. You would let billions die because of politics? Korthak demanded. Elena's eyes became ice cold. You would let billions die because you are too proud to admit you were wrong. At least my people are safe. The communication channel closed, leaving the diplomatic fleet alone at the edge of human space. Over the next 2 days, desperate reports arrived from across the galaxy. The Devourer swarm was accelerating. Outer Rim colonies were being consumed faster than predicted. The Council's military response was a disaster. Their ships were being destroyed in every engagement. Without human tactical innovations, without human strategic thinking, without human leadership, the galactic fleet was fighting like it was still the previous century. The Devourers had adapted to old tactics long ago. Meanwhile, long-range sensors detected massive human fleet movements. Thousands of ships were leaving human space, but they were not heading toward the Devourer threat. They were taking defensive positions around human colonies and Earth itself. Humanity was preparing to protect itself and let the rest of the galaxy burn. On the 3rd day, Elder Korthak made the hardest decision of his long life. He opened a communication channel to Elena Vasquez. High Chancellor, the Galaxy Council accepts your terms. Elena appeared on screen again, but this time she was not alone. Behind her stood other humans in military uniforms, their faces serious but confident. All terms? She asked. All terms, Korthak confirmed, his voice breaking. Elena nodded. Then let us save your galaxy, again. The signing of the Terran Accords took place aboard Elena Vasquez's flagship, the UES Defiance, as it traveled toward the Devourer front lines. The ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy, and every being watching knew they were witnessing the end of one era and the beginning of another. Elder Korthak's hand shook as he placed his genetic signature on the holographic document. 5,000 years of Viridian superiority ended with that simple gesture. Around him, the other elders signed with varying degrees of reluctance and shame. Elena signed last, her signature bold and confident. The Terran Federation formally rejoins galactic civilization under the terms of these accords. Humanity will provide full military and strategic support in the defense against the Devourer swarm. She turned to the assembled alien leaders. But understand this clearly. Humanity returns as an equal partner, not as junior members seeking approval. The age of species-based hierarchy ends today. Within hours, human ships began appearing throughout the galaxy. They emerged from hyperspace with a precision that startled alien observers. Their formations perfect and their coordination flawless. These were not the mixed fleets of the old days, where humans served under alien commanders. These were human-led fleets with alien ships following human orders. Admiral Sarah Chen, sister of the xenobiologist who had worked on the plague cure, stood on the bridge of the UES Normandy as it approached the first Devourer engagement zone. Around her, holographic displays showed the positions of 3,000 allied ships representing dozens of species. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, the Altarian fleet is requesting permission to engage the enemy advance scouts. Denied, Admiral Chen replied calmly. Tell them to maintain formation. We do this properly or we do not do it at all. On the bridge of the Altarian flagship Bright Star, Captain Thek Norvek struggled with frustration. His people were brave warriors, but now they had to follow orders from a species they had considered inferior just 2 years ago. "Captain," his communications officer said, "Admiral Chen is transmitting tactical data to all ships. She wants us to coordinate our attack patterns with the human vessels." Captain Norvek studied the tactical plan appearing on his screens. It was unlike anything in Altarian military doctrine. Instead of direct attacks, it called for complex maneuvers designed to confuse and divide the enemy. Human ships would serve as bait while alien vessels struck from unexpected angles. "This plan is insane," his tactical officer muttered. "It relies on perfect timing and absolute trust between species that have never fought together before." "But it is brilliant," Captain Norvek admitted reluctantly. "If it works, we will destroy the Devourer scouts without losing a single ship." The battle began exactly as Admiral Chen predicted. Devourer ships, ancient machines programmed for simple tactics, moved to engage what appeared to be a small human force. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by a perfectly coordinated attack from multiple directions. Within 30 minutes, the Devourer scout force was destroyed completely. Not a single Allied ship was lost. Similar victories followed across the galaxy, as human commanders implemented strategies that alien species had never imagined. The Devourers, programmed to fight according to ancient patterns, could not adapt to human unpredictability. But the real test came when the main Devourer fleet reached the core systems. 10,000 enemy ships moved in perfect formation toward Nexus Prime itself. The combined galactic fleet, now under human command, moved to intercept them. Elena Vasquez stood in the command center of her flagship, surrounded by holographic displays showing the entire battlefield. Alien admirals who had once dismissed her people now waited for her orders with desperate hope. "All fleets, this is High Chancellor Vasquez," she broadcast to the thousands of ships under her command. "Today we fight not as separate species but as one galaxy united against extinction. Follow your human tactical coordinators exactly. Trust in the plan, even when it seems impossible." The battle plan she had developed was audacious beyond belief. Instead of meeting the Devourer fleet head-on, the Allied forces would appear to retreat, drawing the enemy into a trap spanning 3 star systems. Human ships would serve as bait, while alien fleets positioned themselves for devastating flanking attacks. "High Chancellor," Admiral Chen reported from her position with the advance fleet. "The Devourers are taking the bait. They are pursuing our forces exactly as predicted." "Confirmed," Elena replied. "All fleets begin Phase 2. What followed was the most complex military operation in galactic history. Thousands of ships from dozens of species moved in perfect coordination, each playing their part in a plan that none of them fully understood. Only the human commanders could see the complete picture, and only they knew how all the pieces fit together. The Devourer fleet, programmed for straightforward tactics, fell into every trap. Their perfect formations became weaknesses as human strategies exploited their predictability. Ancient machines that had conquered civilizations for millions of years found themselves outthought by beings they had never encountered before. The decisive moment came when Elena herself led a strike, forced directly at the Devourer command ship. Her flagship, supported by vessels from every council species, punched through the enemy lines in a maneuver that violated every rule of space combat. "This is suicide," the Altarian captain broadcast. "We cannot survive in the middle of their formation." "Trust the plan," Elena replied calmly. "And prepare for something the Devourers have never seen before." As the Allied ships reached the center of the enemy fleet, human vessels activated technology that had been hidden for centuries. Energy shields that could absorb attacks and redirect them. Weapons that could fire through dimensional space to hit targets behind cover. Armor that became stronger when damaged. The Devourer command ship, a machine the size of a small moon, found itself under attack by weapons it could not defend against. Its ancient programming tried to adapt, but human technology was advancing faster than it could process. When the command ship exploded, the entire Devourer fleet lost coordination. Without central control, the ancient machines became confused and vulnerable. The Allied fleet, still following human tactical plans, systematically destroyed every enemy vessel. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it ended, the Devourer swarm was extinct for the first time in galactic history. Celebrations erupted across the galaxy. But Elena Vasquez felt no joy as she watched the last enemy ship explode on her screens. She had saved galactic civilization, but the cost had been enormous. Millions were dead, entire star systems had been devastated, and the old order had collapsed completely. High Chancellor, Admiral Chen reported, "We are receiving surrender requests from the hegemony of Keth. Apparently, seeing our performance against the Devourers convinced them that continuing their expansion war would be unwise." Elena almost smiled. "Tell them their surrender is accepted, but they will return all conquered territories and pay reparations to their victims. If they refuse, they can face the same tactical innovations we used against the Devourers." Over the following months, the galaxy slowly adapted to its new reality. Humanity had not just saved civilization, they had completely restructured it. The old system of species hierarchy was replaced by a merit-based council where capability mattered more than age. Human medical teams cured the Crimson Plague within weeks of returning to galactic society. Human engineers repaired the failing infrastructure that had been breaking down for months. Human peacekeepers ended the various wars that had erupted during humanity's absence. But most importantly, human educators began teaching other species the innovations that had been kept secret for centuries. No longer would any species be dependent on human knowledge without understanding it themselves. Dr. Lyrana Kess stood in her laboratory on Kepler 442, watching human doctors train her staff in advanced xenobiology. Dr. Sarah Chen had returned as promised, bringing with her treatments that seemed miraculous to alien eyes. "How did your people develop such advanced medicine?" Lyrana asked. Dr. Chen smiled. "The same way we developed everything else that impressed you. We never stopped learning, never stopped experimenting, and never stopped pushing the boundaries of what was possible. We just did not share our best work because we were treated like children who could not be trusted with advanced technology." Captain Thek Norvik was having a similar conversation with Admiral Chen aboard the Normandy. His ship was being refitted with human defensive systems that would make it nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons. "Why are you sharing this technology now?" he asked. "Your people could have kept these advantages to yourselves." Admiral Chen looked out at the stars through the bridge windows. "Because isolation is not victory. Humanity wants partners, not subjects. We want to explore the galaxy with equals, not rule over inferiors. But equality has to be earned by everyone, not just granted based on good intentions." On Nexus Prime, Elena Vasquez addressed the first session of the reformed Galaxy Council. The chamber looked the same, but everything else had changed. Human representatives sat among the elders as equals. Species that had never been allowed to speak now had voices. Young civilizations were no longer automatically dismissed.